with me today. One song, one voice, stand up, it's your choice. If you're feeling me, get on your feet and sing with me. I won't leave this world the way I came. I won't leave it alone.
Hello and welcome to Project One Voice Live. I'm your host, Eric McCall. It's an incredible day in New York City. It's a little overcast, but we're here and we're all alive and ready to chat all things Black creativity. Our guest today is Robert Garland. He is from the Dance Theatre of Harlem. So we're just going to hop right into this conversation. Let me tell you a little bit about Robert Garland. Robert Garland's passion for dance ignited when he witnessed his first Dance Theatre of Harlem performance. He moved to New York City, attended the Juilliard School, and then quickly rose to the Dance Theatre of Harlem ranks to become a principal dancer. Soon after, Dance Theatre's founder and former artistic director, Arthur Mitchell, invited Garland to create a work for the company. He was appointed their first resident choreographer and the director of the Dance Theatre of Harlem School. He has since been selected to succeed Virginia Johnson as artistic director of the company, beginning his new role later this year. Please welcome Robert Garland.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Yeah, Robert, we met maybe about a week ago on a Zoom with DTH, and we met again most recently at Town Hall. So last Thursday, just for our audience to know, Project One Voice invited a bevy of 28 extraordinarily talented Black artists from multiple disciplines for a historic photograph at New York's Town Hall. We were celebrating the legacy and leadership of Black male identifying creatives. It was an incredible day of Black male solidarity, camaraderie, and joy. Robert, can you tell us what that day was like for you?
Oh, it was wonderful to just take a moment post-COVID to reconnect, reestablish, reaffirm the bonds that I've had with so many of the people present that I have known over the years. Some I'd heard of but never met, like Ruben Santiago Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a wonderful, wonderful experience to just be in the room with people that were so like-minded in terms of the arts.
Yeah, it was a tremendous celebration of Black joy. So speaking of Black joy, can you tell us what actually inspired the creation of the Dance Theatre of Harlem?
Dance Theatre of Harlem was started by Arthur Mitchell, who was the first Black male principal dancer of a major ballet company. And the reason that is significant is because in the 40s and 50s, it was believed that Black people of color, could not excel at the classical art forms. That's classical ballet, classical music, classical painting, sculpture, anything from what they call the Western European tradition. And Arthur Mitchell, through his work in dance and specifically ballet, sought to prove them wrong. He attained the principal dancer status at New York City Ballet, working under the venerated choreographer George Balanchine. And on the way to Brazil, after retiring from that company, to start a company in Brazil, he'd heard about the assassination of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he said to himself, why am I going to Brazil to start something for someone that looks like me when I can go back to my community of Harlem? So he went back to his community in Harlem, got together with Brock Peters, who's very much like one of the men that were gathered the other day, and Cicely Tyson, and began Dance Theatre of Harlem with $25,000 of his own money also.
Wow. Yeah. So $25,000, how much would that be in current prices?
According to members of my board, about $150,000.
Wow.
Arthur Mitchell's mother, who the church is at 153rd in Amsterdam, across the street from Dance Theatre of Harlem. They were church people, and his mother always told him, tie 10% to the church and 10% to yourself. So he always saved 10% of his salaries at New York City Ballet and had amassed that sum, which would in today's dollars would be $150,000.
Yeah, what a great investment in the future of Black creativity. Yeah. So how has DTH advanced the civil rights and social justice goal originally crafted by Mr. Mitchell?
I often say, the of course, the two black dance companies. There's Alvin Ailey and there's Dance Theatre of Harlem. Alvin's work, Revelations, the venerated work, Revelations, was really pre-civil rights movement, and Dance Theatre of Harlem I always refer to as a post-civil rights organization. We were at the cusp of where Black people began to feel as if they could move into areas that heretofore they'd not been in up until that point, like classical and neoclassical ballet. So Arthur Mitchell, and upon starting Dance Theatre of Harlem, gave that gift to his community. In fact, people said ballet, Black people, that'll never go together. And Arthur Mitchell sought to prove them wrong once again. He started a school, and within a month and a half, he had about 500 students.
Wow. Wow. So DTH, Dance Theatre of Harlem, is embarking on its 54th season. You're going to be at New York City Center April 19th through the 23rd. Now, you step into your new role as artistic director of DTH on July 1st, succeeding founding DTH member Virginia Johnson, who will
Yeah.
become artistic director emeritus. How has your journey from principal dancer to resident choreographer to director of the school prepared you for your new role at DTH?
That journey was very carefully curated by my mentor and father figure, Arthur Mitchell. When I went to him and I said, I think I want to focus on choreography, he said, well, why don't I assign you as a resident choreographer, which I thought was wonderful. But then he said, I also need a director for the Dance at the Harlem School. And I was like, sure. The resident choreographer part, I totally got. The being in charge of a school, learning how to work administratively, learning how to read a budget, learning how to, basically administer to a staff as well, were the real lessons that
Mhm.
Arthur Mitchell knew that I was going to run up against. And so that trajectory up until this moment of becoming artistic director has prepared me for not only the artistic side, but some of the other things, interacting with our really fabulous board and everything else that goes with being an artistic director.
Mhm. Now, let me remind everyone that the Dance Theatre of Harlem will be at New York City Center April 19th through the 23rd. Now, if you look on the crawl, there's information about how you can get tickets. There's some incredible discounts. There's some codes, and they're great group discounts as well. So please take advantage of those. Now, Robert, as we expand on your new position as artistic director, what is your vision for the Dance Theatre of Harlem?
In a lot of my work, early on in Dance Theatre of Harlem's history, we had a very, what Arthur Mitchell called, eclectic repertoire. We had our ballet, we had our ballets that reflect the Black experience, and then we had other things as well. I always seek to, in my own personal work, to combine those things, to kind of have them all in one area, closer to what the double consciousness that W.E.B. Du Bois often talked about, kind of exposing that. And so through programming, getting people to understand both the beauty and the complexity, the intellectual complexity of the African American and people from the Black or African diaspora. Oftentimes, we're sort of taken for granted, I think, a little bit, and so I just seek to expose some of our greatness that is beyond just a good rhythmic song or a basketball. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Look, I love those two adjectives, beauty and complexity, as you are describing the legacy of Black creativity. I just think those are so apropos.
Mhm.
Um, so Dancing for Harlem is entering a remarkable 54th season at New York City Center. Again, as I remind everyone, it's April 19th through the 23rd. Now, what are you excited about in this season?
Wow, what am I excited about in this season? When I started running the Dance at a Harlem School, that moment I spoke about earlier, I had a really wonderful board chair. His name was Reginald Van Lee, Reggie Van
Mhm.
Lee,
Yes.
who is not only one of the most brilliant Black men that I've ever met in my life. And we are going to be honoring him at our gala, April 20th. And I'm so excited to take a moment organization-wide to honor Reggie Van Lee and his contributions to not only Dance Theatre of Harlem, but to the arts world in general. He was also the board chair of Ron Brown's Evidence Dance Company as well for a very long time. And so that is one of the things that I'm looking forward to. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Look, Reggie Van Lee is a friend. He's an extraordinary philanthropist. He loves the arts. He loves Black creativity. So
Yeah.
I concur with everything you said. He's an incredible ally for all of us in the arts.
Yeah.
Now, you were born and raised in Philadelphia. Now, tell me how Philly has shaped your artistry, your creative journey. Tell us about how the music, the neighborhood, the Philadelphia cheesesteaks, how does that show up in your work?
Well, I was born at a very interesting time in Philadelphia. It is post civil rights, so right after Dr. Martin Luther King's famous civil rights movement, and during the 70s. And the 70s was a remarkable period because in 76, we celebrated the 200th anniversary of America, but also there was a great upswelling of creativity, by and large at the musical level, but the musical level kind of trickled into the other parts of our arts. Dance Theatre of Harlem, I danced with the Philadelphia Dance Company as well. We often did works that were to music, that were very popular 70s kind of music. The reason I raised this is because those musical artists at that time were very kind of like the kind of art that we all love to see out of the Black experience. You take Earth, Wind, and Fire's early albums, for instance, you'll go from something that's pure R&B and pure funk into a complete straight jazz song. And so that's what I grew up. I grew up in that environment. And so partially that, and also I grew up in the neighborhood of Mount Airy, which at the time was the most diverse neighborhood in America. And so my not only did I go to school with and have Black friends, but I also had Jewish friends, Asian friends, and it was just a wonderful place to grow up in at the time.
Yeah. So that really, really prepared you for going to Juilliard in a really fantastic way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And some of the people that I grew up with, Holly Robinson Peete, I grew up with Matt Robinson, whose father actually, she became Holly Robinson Peete, but we really loved her at that time because her dad was on Sesame Street.
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
and so that was our big hero around the corner, so that's sort of another part of my growing up. I lived down the street from another man, Earl Young, who was a drummer for the Sound of Philadelphia. And so that disco beat, which is called Four on the Floor, I forget what that means, but it's a drummer thing, he created. And so it was a wonderful time in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like it. You make me want to go back in time and grow up in Mount Airy.
It was really a beautiful moment. It really was on so many different levels.
Yeah. I'm from Birmingham. So
like my friend Imani Perry.
oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
We have to talk about that later. Look, I just celebrated my 60th birthday. So it's the 60th anniversary of 1963. So as you're talking about Martin Luther King, as you're talking about the civil rights movement, as you talk about all the things that were a direct result of that movement, I totally understand that moment of empowerment with the Black arts movement.
Yes.
It just created such a great springboard for us as Black creatives. So since it is Black History Month, I want to toss out some important Black dance history makers, and I want you to give me a one-word description of what these people mean to you. Okay?
Only one
Ready?
word?
Only one. Okay. All right. So First name, Arthur Mitchell.
Oh, hero.
Wow. Yeah. Louis Johnson.
My first ballet. I'm sorry, only one word.
Oh, you can expand. You can
My
expand.
first ballet. My
Wow. And
first, my
what
first,
ballet was that?
my first success as a choreographer was a ballet called Return, which was to
Mhm.
the music of Aretha Franklin and James Brown. And my first experience with Dance Theatre of Harlem was a ballet by Louis Johnson by the name of Forces of Rhythm, where it used both Tchaikovsky and the Supremes and the Isley Brothers. And that
Wow.
spoke to me as a kid. It spoke to me. So I
Yeah.
have a big debt to Louis Johnson.
Wow. And that was a signature piece of DTH for a very long time, right?
For a very long time. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I've sort of fashioned a lot of my work that leans in the Black experience, in the direction of Black experience. I kind of fashion it after Mr. Johnson.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Um, Carmen de Lavalade.
Legend, legend. Can I say something about her?
Oh, please, please.
You know, there was a wonderful, beautiful, I had a friend that danced at Ailey. Her name was Deborah Chase. And there was a solo that Jeffrey Holder did for Carmen called Sarong Paramaribo, where it's a beautiful, long red dress. And she kind of, it's almost kicks it like in a Spanish kind of flair, but also with some of the beautiful upper body stuff that Jeffrey Holder always did. And I just remember watching her like, oh my God, like who is this woman? I remember when Mr. Lovelock came back to be a guest artist with the Ailey Company, and I went to every single performance.
Wow.
Mhm.
She's amazing and
Yes.
looks wonderful
Yes.
yes, she looks amazing. Tally Beatty.
Tally Beatty. Oh, just a brilliant, brilliant. There's a video on Facebook of him performing his Mourner's Bench, which is really quite remarkable. And Tally Beatty had also a remarkable ballet technique. If you ever did his work, there's no way you can make it through it without having a really solid idea of where your ballet technique stood. And so Tally Beatty was the first hit for Joan Myers Brown's Philadelphia Dance Company, or Philadanco. And
Mhm.
so I did a work with them for a really long time, and then got to Dance Theatre of Harlem and did his work again, Caravanserai. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Raven Wilkerson.
Oh, Misty Copeland, my
Mm.
darling daughter. She had become very, very. She's now written a book about Raven, but she came very close to Raven. And there was a moment when Raven had sort of gotten out of contact with her, and I remember her being very, very concerned. And so, but I love the fact that she had become very close to Raven, who was this woman that lived a life that no one knew about until very recently. So
Mm.
yeah, so Misty covers all of that in her book.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna have to get that. And Virginia Johnson.
Virginia, my erstwhile partner in crime. We shared we shared recipes and the dance studio.
Mhm.
Virginia was the first person that I choreographed on at Dance Theatre of Harlem. We had lost a very stalwart member of the Dance Theatre of Harlem company, Mitchell McCarthy, to AIDS. And so for his memorial service, I asked Virginia if I could create a work for her, a solo in honor of him. And I did. And the music was "If It's Magic" by Stevie Wonder. And so it's no mistake that now, these many years later, I would say up to 20 years later, I've now, under her artistic direction, have created another work to Stevie Wonder's music, Higher Ground.
Wow.
So there's a connective tissue there.
Yeah, it's magic.
Yes, yes.
I'm going to go back to Arthur Mitchell because you only did one word, and I'm sure you want to expand on Arthur Mitchell.
Yes, one of my goals is having people understand both the intellectual and artistic capacity of his greatness. He grew something in Harlem that no one said could be done. Absolutely no one. It was his dream that someone would join him with an all black orchestra. Someone would join him with an all black, and some did with an acting company. Because Arthur Mitchell, I always say, was inspired by Martin Luther King, but his modus operandi was very much Malcolm X. It was do for yourself. And so Dance Theatre of Harlem, this institution that I sit in right now, was an amazing, strenuous, and a feat on the part of him and his people that also helped him along the way.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
When people come to see the Dance Theatre of Harlem this April at New York City Center, that's April 19th through the 23rd, just so that people remember, or when they see it on the road, what would you like people to take away from their Dance Theatre of Harlem experience?
Oh, just absorb or imagine the world without Dance Theatre of Harlem. What does that look like? That means that all our brown, lovely ballerinas that we have would all be wearing pink and white tights because it was Dance Theatre of Harlem that began that in the 70s. Now, a lot of dance manufacturers are making lots of money now because they figured it out literally within the past 2 years that yes, there's a market for this. But this goes back to actually even my home experience with my mother. I remember my mother looking for what she called nude flats. And whenever something was nude, it always came in pink, you know. So
Right.
so so that's one thing that Dance to Harlem gives you. And the other thing is Arthur Mitchell always said our eclecticism is our strength. You will see works by George Balanchine. You will see works by myself. You will see works by Jeffrey Holder at times. Our Dance to Harlem is a zero common denominator in terms of application or when you're looking at the arts. No head sits higher. Only the art sits at the apex, and we are all underneath it.
Yeah. So it sounds like DTH is a true reflection of the diversity that is this entire country, that's this world.
It is diverse and pluralistic. Is another
Yes, we
word I
love
like
that.
to use. Yeah, e pluribus unum.
Yeah.
Yes, out of many, one. Yes.
Yes, yes. Robert, I just want to thank you for this time. And I just also want to remind everyone that the Dance Theatre of Harlem is going to be at New York City Center for its 54th season. That's April 19th through the 23rd. Now, tickets are still available. So you can see all the information on the crawl about how you can get these tickets. I cannot wait to witness the brilliance of you and Ballenchine and all the extraordinary choreographers that are going to be displayed on stage. But most importantly, I want to be there to support Black creativity and to ensure that it remains vital, alive, and most of all funded.
Amen.
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 Ooh, you got the preaching there. Thank you for that. Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes.
Our work has always been under resourced.
Yeah, yeah. You
But
know, that's yeah.
as our culture says, we always made a way out of no way. A way
Amen.
out.
Amen. Amen. You know, it's really interesting. You know, that's the new term that people are using right now. It's not underprivileged, it's under-resourced. And I
Right.
think that is so apropos because again, it's the resources that allow us to get to that higher ground, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
go ahead. Okay. I heard that.
a little plug for
Yes.
and the Philly sound. So anyway, so Robert, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
congratulations on this new appointment. Congratulations on all your successes over all these many years, and I hope this isn't the last time that we will connect and have a conversation. Okay,
Thank you so much. I've had a wonderful time.
you have a great afternoon. We'll talk soon. All
All
right.
right. All right.
Thank you. So there you have it. That's Robert Garland, the new artistic director of the Dance Theatre of Harlem. So as I told you, their season at New York City Center begins on April 19th until the 23rd. Now, tickets are still available. Go to the dancetheaterofharlem.org for tickets. They're great rates for groups. They're great rates for great rates for individual tickets. I'm going to be there, and as Robert said, they're going to be honoring Reginald Van Lee on the 20th at their gala. So if you don't have your tickets to Dance Theatre of Harlem, just go get them right now, the minute this is over. So as always, I thank you all for your time and consideration, and I hope that you are supporting and engaging with Black creativity in your part of the country. That's it for me and all of us here at Project One Voice Live. Thank you so much for joining us, and make sure you get those tickets to Dance Theatre of Harlem. I'm getting mine as soon as I sign off. So have a fantastic day, and thank you again for joining us on Project One Voice Live. Have a great one. Bye-bye.